Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Do you remember reading that Robert Frost poem when you were in high school? I certainly do. The thing that stands out the most to me was that poem was so synonymous with my life. You see, I didn't have a normal high school experience. I was 15 when I had my daughter. And for most, their life would be over. They'd drop out of high school, everything would change. But not for me. You see, I've always been really, really curious. Always seeking, searching, asking questions. My mom instilled that in me when I was very young. A love of learning. And so, because I took mostly gifted and talented classes growing up, I really, really needed mental stimulation. And when I found out I was pregnant, I started asking. You know that ask and receive thing you hear all the time? It's really true. Except I was doing it then without having a real understanding of exactly what that looks like and exactly what that means. Nevertheless, I asked adults around me and found out that purely because of the computer math science magnet program that I was in my junior high school, I was actually able to be bused across town to a high school with an IB program. That's International Baccalaureate, if you're not familiar with what that is. It's a program that basically equates the curriculum on an international level. And they had an infant lab on campus. So I could take my daughter with me. I walked up the hill every day, backpack in one hand, daughter in the other, car seat, up the hill to get on the school bus to be bused downtown to my high school. Spent one class period with her a day and took all the rest of my classes. Cheered, played basketball, was in student government, student TV broadcasts, you name it. Part-time job after school even. Purely because I asked. And when I asked, I was willing to receive. Have you ever asked for something and you actually received it? Now, have you ever asked for something and you didn't receive it? How come that is? Receiving is one of our greatest capacities, yet it's the thing we tend to refuse more dynamically than anything else. The interesting thing about that is it's how we're naturally designed, right? You are breathing in life-giving oxygen from the trees and plants seemingly effortlessly every single day, while simultaneously breathing out life-giving carbon dioxide to those very same trees and plants. It's how we're designed. So what if you could receive everything in your life that you're asking for as easily and as effortlessly as you breathe? There's some things that stop us from doing that though, right? And I call that my 3 C's to 3 R's method. When we are stopping ourselves from receiving, it's because we're usually doing one of 3 things. That first C, controlling. How many times have you tried to control the outcome of what shows up in your life because it feels safer? Feels like maybe you can predict it, you can rely on it, maybe you're not going to be let down. When you try to control things, it's like closing your fists really, really tight while you're asking and nothing can actually get in. What if there's a different way that you can do things? Because controlling, has it ever really worked out for you whenever you've tried to control what shows up in your life? The second C is contracting. Think about something that's got you really stressed right now. What's going on in your body? Shoulders are probably shrugged up, muscles are tight, maybe even some tightness and tension here. When you're contracting, again, it's like holding that tight fist, nothing can get in. And then the third C, concluding. How many times do we ask for something expecting it to show up a certain way? There is absolutely no way it's going to be able to come in if you've already decided how it's going to show up and what it's going to look like. And then how many times have you asked for something and it showed up like nothing you could have ever imagined, yet it was bigger, better, and greater, right? So controlling, contracting, and concluding always stops the possibilities, always cuts off the flow. If I had been controlling, contracting, and concluding when I was asking for that possibility with my high school, with my daughter, there's no way it would have shown up. I was in my childlike curiosity state. So what's the antidote to these 3 C's? I call them the 3 R's. The first one is ding, 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 receiving. In order to receive, though, you have to do a couple of things. Number 1, relax. Do me a favor, take a really deep breath right now. Let your body just melt into the chair wherever you're sitting. Relax. Okay? You are always taken care of. You always have everything you need in every single moment, even if you don't think you do. I'm not talking about next week, next month, or next year. If you stay in the present, in the here and now, you have exactly what you need in this moment. And the present moment is really the only thing that exists. Releasing. If you've still got your fists balled up because you didn't quite let your body relax when you took that deep breath, go ahead and open it now. Let go. The universe is already perfectly designed. Your body and your breathing are already perfectly designed, and you don't have to control them. If you release and let go, that's when the actual infinite possibilities can show up. That's when something far greater can show up, bigger and better than you can ever possibly imagine. And then receiving. You've got to relax and you've got to release in order to receive. Ask and receive really does work if you're actually willing to receive. And if you're actually willing to receive, then you can actually trust your body's internal GPS. It's something you're born with. That first language of energy where you always know. Like maybe you got that feeling in the pit of your stomach and you knew you shouldn't have done that thing, yet you did it anyway. I know you've been there. I have. If you trust the signals from your body's intelligence and your body's consciousness, it will never steer you in the wrong direction. You have to listen though. And oftentimes it's like a little whisper, like a little cool breeze across your face, across your arm. Very slight. If you're in tune with yourself, you'll be aware and you'll always know. That is also part of receiving. Okay? I know I've said a lot here, and you're probably wondering, okay, that all sounds great, but how do I do that? Number 1 thing I'm gonna recommend for you to do is put down the hammer of judgment. Anywhere and everywhere you're judging yourself right now, anywhere and everywhere you're judging others, just stop. Take yourself off the hook. Come on, let go. You're not wrong. Let it go. The second thing, acknowledge you. I know I hear a lot of people talk about gratitude journals, and I'm all for gratitude. Like, gratitude changes everything and opens up everything. There's also a little step further, and that's acknowledgement. How often are you actually acknowledging you? Whether it's, I got out of bed and I brushed my teeth today, or it's, I wrote that proposal and I nailed it. Anywhere along the spectrum, acknowledge it, because what you don't acknowledge doesn't exist. The third thing, take action. Big or small, take some action every single day. If you do these 3 things, that's the first step to beginning to opening up to truly asking and receiving in the most miraculous of ways. My real estate professor always told me to be a contrarian, and that's something I've carried with me all these years. Being a contrarian means doing the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing. If you see the masses going one way, that's a key indication that's probably not the path for you to go on. And I know it can seem easier to go that way because it seems like it might be safer, or someone else might have the answer, or there might be a map or some sort of path and steps laid out for you. But be more like Robert Frost. Take the road less traveled. And I know it can be scary, but you have to be the leader of your own life. And if you're not sure how to do that, and if you'd like some facilitation in starting to learn to trust yourself again and open up to listening to your internal compass and your internal guideposts, then I'd love to work with you. I'm Jenny Lynn Coley, owner and founder of Permission to Thrive, sponsored by the De-Stress Lounge. Isn't it time to stop surviving, start thriving? Come on, let's thrive together. Contact me below for your free 20-minute consultation.